This is something that I heard, and I wanted to pass this along. I heard this when I was doing the Lockheed Martin Lufthansa rock climbing thought leader wall.
Oh yeah.
And it goes a little something like this. Welcome to Number One Boys, a Succession after show from The Ringer. This is Jason Concepcion.
Hello.
I'm Chris Ryan. We are here to talk about Succession Season 2, Episode 6, Our Gesties.
Our Gesties, the northwest wind that blew Jason and the Argonauts to the land of the Amazons in search of the Golden Fleece.
The Golden Fleece vest.
The G Fleece, as we talk about in investing circles.
We're gonna get right into buy or sell because we had a really rich text this week, and Jason and I are moving our money around a lot. It's just a fluid time right now. We're not entirely liquid, but we'll get back to that.
Right. But we can slurp it up if we need to.
What's the most you've ever spent on a Cobb salad?
Like cash or with cards?
Well, because I've gone north of 200, but there was actual whale in mine.
I dropped 7.5 Bitcoins, but like when it was really a thing.
Okay. What was in the salad?
I threw it out.
What I want to buy this week on Succession is the Ideas Conference.
Fucking Davos,
so,
Aspen.
Our Gesties is obviously like a stand-in for Sun Valley, Davos, the kind of things that you're talking about, Jason. But we hadn't seen this before yet on Succession, and it was a really great rendering of this environment. I wondered how many liberties they were taking, but I went back and I actually read some old David Carr columns from back in like 2007, the late great David Carr, and he used to write the Deal Book blog for the New York Times, among many other things that he did. But his dispatches from Sun Valley in Idaho in 2007 are pretty much Succession without the Logan Roy throwing up at the breakfast table.
It's the altitude. It's just getting
It's just
to
the
him.
altitude. It's just
very
just
tough.
digestion. It's the heat lamp too. But so Sun Valley is where you get all these moguls from tech, media, big business, finance. They're all gathering together to try to fix the world's problems. Obviously, Succession is lampooning that, but based on what you can read about these events, they are a super casual, pretty everybody's loosey-goosey walking around. There's a couple of events, but you will see Rupert Murdoch, Eric Schmidt, whoever at a breakfast table chopping it up.
Oh man, is that Zuckerberg playing Jenga?
Yeah, no, that's the kind of environment it is. So I thought that they did that really well, and it was also, I was buying how each character has a very specific relationship to it. It's like Roman is too cool for school. Nan thinks it's completely beneath her.
Right.
Tom is consumed with whether or not the lanyard he's getting is the perfect lanyard.
Did I get the cashews that I wanted?
Yeah, was it the fruit and nut box or the champagne box? So there's all these events and stuff like that, but Succession is so good at coming up with these reasons for all these people to be trapped with one another. And this was a great one because they've got a ticking time bomb with this story that's coming out about the cruise line, and they need to get this deal done. So it turns almost into kind of a heist movie.
It's wonderful. I really love that shot of Kendall coming into Our Gesties and surveying a landscape of all his enemies.
Yeah.
All the people who have a reason to put a knife in his chest.
Sandy's there, Stewie's there.
They're all there just waiting for the moment that the Roys and Kendall slip.
Really smart to get we will talk a lot about Stewie on this episode. We lament the lack of PT for Stewie.
Yes.
But the fact that a Stewie is just there at these random times is the perfect way to build the world of the show.
Yeah,
the guy from Vaulter was at Our Gesties.
Hey, listen, new media, cutting edge. I like it. Kendall likes it.
What are you buying?
I'm buying Schadenfreude overall is the thing I'm buying. The Roys are under pressure, as we just noted. All their enemies are assembled here, and they would just love the opening to pour some shit on Waystar Royco. But I think I'm going to buy, more than that, I'm buying Rockstar and the Mole Woman.
Yeah.
So we get another wonderful Roman and Jerry moment in this episode. And a little different this time. Roman comes to Jerry's room with an offer. saying, hey, I'm the out front person, the rock star, the wild Tarzan running around with my tiny little dick out, making waves, making news. I'm stupid, but also everybody's looking at me. And you are, you're like I think he says something like, you are like an extremely efficient and quiet filing cabinet. You make the numbers work, but nobody ever notices you. What if we team up? You're the CEO and I'm the chairman,
right.
Or you're the chairman and I'm the CEO, whatever it is. What if we got together and made this work? Because, as Roman does note, she is actually on the papers if Logan should die this very minute.
And she was like, I don't think anybody would take that seriously, but still.
But still, legally speaking, there is a basis for Jerry being the person who would be handed the keys, at least in an interim basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And that segues right into what I'm selling this week, which is Shiv and Kendall.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily call this a critique of the show. It's just a question I have of the show, which is what happens in these sort of intervening moments between, the interim moments in between episodes.
Yeah.
And episode 4, Safe Room, we're left with this incredibly tender moment between Kendall and Shiv, where Kendall is like, it's not going to be me who's going to be the heir to the throne, and I would just hope that if it's you
right.
look out for me, because like I basically need taken care of. And somewhat in episode 5, and especially in episode 6, it just feels like that's like really kind of, that's fallen away. That's
right.
fallen away, and they are back at each other's throats. They are back being territorial with one another. Why is she on this call?
Right.
Why didn't I get invited to this conference? I'm not going to do this if he's going to do this.
Step back. You don't know. You're not involved in this on a day-to-day basis. You don't know what you're talking about.
And that comes to a head when they're trying to decide who's going to go on stage and do the panel talk to respond to the New York Magazine article. But I kind of want to know what happened there, if anything did happen, because if it's like maybe Kendall has had second thoughts about whether or not he's so giving with magnanimous with his what he seems to be thinking is his inheritance.
Yeah, we also don't know like what his drug mixture was at that time.
Sure.
What
or is now.
Where he is on the cycle of like using and not using and coming off of it. We also don't know how much time has passed. As we noted before, like I would love to know how much time has passed in between
I think there's probably a way to map it out like seasonally, and there's like references. I think Nan references a date.
Yeah.
To Raya later in the episode.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
But I think that it would be I'm kind of curious to know how much time has passed from 4 to 6, and whether or not we're supposed to intuit. Yeah, like there was this moment, but it's pretty much disappeared, and Kendall is now back on his bullshit.
Yes.
Or whether it's like, should we consider the idea that Kendall and Shiv are working a long game? What do you have for buy or sell?
I am selling Raya Jarrell. She got, folks. Folks, we got her. Pour out a bottle of your most expensive wine. Don't even hyper decant.
I'm just going to do Voss water. Is that okay?
That's fine. Pour it right out into the street, because Raya, as the point of contact between the Pierces and the Roys, was involved from the very start of this proposed deal by Waystar Royco to acquire PGN, and she has been pushing that deal with ever diminishing subtlety as Logan is raged, get this going, get it done, at least get them to sign a letter of intent. And it culminates in her calling Nan, urging her to come to Argestes against Nan's will. And finally, that seemed to raise the warning flags for Nan, whether it's the suggestion that, well, can't we just sign the letter of intent today? That seemed to set something off for Nan. Nan got on a phone call with the family after having a discussion with Raya, and they gave Nan the power to do whatever she saw fit, and then somehow she came to the realization that
She obviously had her investigated.
Yeah,
she knew her cell phone calls and everything.
She's been double dealing. She was at Waystar HQ at that time, sometime in the past, talking to Logan Roy, and she comes out with it at the end of the episode. Is like, did you ever have a discussion with him? Like before we had our discussion? And Raya can't even hem and haw. She just hits her with it. Oh, are you trying to figure out something that your lawyer would tell you to say?
Right.
So
she says, I can't recall, right? Yeah.
And it results in Nan asking for her resignation and surely lawsuits to follow.
Yeah, and the parallels between the Pierces and the Roys continue. Nan obviously views working for her as an act of you're in the family.
Right, that's it.
And so she distinguishes Raya by saying, in much the same way that Logan has done to Frank or done to a number of people over the years, is by saying, you don't work for me, you work for yourself.
Right.
And that is actually just like objectively well, yeah, most people do. But it's that outsiderness that Raya kind of was using as leverage, and at the same time, it obviously came back to bite her in the ass. So that's buy or sell. Who do you have for number one boy this week?
Oh, man.
Because I think it's actually a pretty competitive field this week.
Really competitive field. Personally, I'm going to go with Nan for that eye-opening moment where she realized, hey, these people don't have my best interests at heart.
And she also is just like flexing on Logan the whole time, where she's like, I can't make a decision until I order it.
I have to eat. I can't, with a menu open in front of me, I simply can't make a decision.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Hello, sir. What kind of water? I need 5 kinds of water. I'll just have whatever water you'll have.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Logan. Are you waiting on something? You seem upset. Can we
then
have
at the end, when she's just like, she gives him like the straight up blue blood dressing down.
Just the hard brush off.
Yeah.
Sir, get your dirty mitts off my company. I'm out of here, sir. Good day.
I think that the only other competitors really is probably Shiv, because Shiv just like perfectly enters the controversy and rides it to a moment of ascent,
And really interesting moment and performance from Shiv, because on the one hand, she very clearly does not want to be the face of this looming controversy on cruises, which she knows all about because of the debrief that she had on her wedding night from Tom. So she knows in detail how bad it is.
Where the bodies are buried.
Yeah.
And they're in the ocean.
It's a sea burial.
Yeah.
God. So she knows how bad it is, and clearly is like, well, if I'm going to be the face of this, I need to ride.
The payoff needs to be
right. The payoff needs to be. I have some power. I have some juice after this, and I think that she has accomplished that.
There's one disturbing factor about this.
Yes.
Is that there's 2 ways to kind of try and take over for Logan, through him or despite him.
Right.
And she seems to be going somewhat of the path that Kendall went down last season, which is, I will do this with or without his blessing.
Right.
And so she gets up on stage, she's like, I'm gonna handle it, and she makes the dinosaur crack.
Clearly pointed, even though she would, I think I made it very clear that was not
She's
about,
also like, this is like the couple episodes in a row where Shiv's just like, can't you take a joke, basically.
Right.
Like she's screwed
She
with
knows
the
what she's
Pierces. She's like, she really pushes it. So we'll split it this week. Number one boy, 1A goes to Nan, 1B goes to Shiv. Let's get into our biggest burn of the week.
Oh, baby. And I'm making a good faith fucking assessment to my dad here, and you're making me look like a hack, and I will not fucking have it! It is fucking bullshit what you are doing to me, and I am very disappointed.
Who are you talking to?
Okay, Mom, I love you too.
This is a special edition of Biggest Burn of the Week. It is all Stewie everything. My guy came off the bench, did like 16 points in 8 minutes, 3 for 3 from behind the arc.
Some Flip Murray stuff
It
out
was
here
just
from
like,
Stewie.
that's the kind of game you get a 3-year contract off of.
Stu Sanity.
It was Stu Sanity. That's what it was. The Knicks are back. Give me some of the best Stewie.
Stewie Hosseini, Kendall's one-time friend, his Coke bro, and former Bear Hug co-conspirator. He's back, baby, after an extended absence. We're going to talk about the big burn, but he really comes in.
Layers. It was like a 7-layer dip.
Just comes in throwing those like Jezelnickian shurikens where it's like, I'm laughing at this, but simultaneously I'm analyzing my own morality, like if I should be laughing at this.
Yeah.
The first one, so he greets Kendall with, Daddy's boy, I hear your staff are all killing themselves now. A reference, of course, to the ATN staffer who shot himself in the building, thus causing a lockdown. That was awful, but I guess also factually correct. So on the merits, I don't know. I guess we have to give him that one. Then there is, after the cruise news breaks, thus imperiling the PGN acquisition, which Kendall mystifyingly had bragged about to Stewie? Like, why?
He can't help himself. He can't help himself.
Why are you even mentioning it, dude? Anyway, Stewie comes up with, He says, well, I guess if you did have something going on, like deal-wise, it's kind of dead in the water, right? Like some of the women that went on those cruises. I mean...
Also, he does it with the turtleneck on.
With the turtleneck on, like, drop the mic falls into the ocean, sinks to the bottom of the ocean, into the Marianas Trench,
There's
and is
fish down there who can't see because they can just sense where they are.
that have been alive for like 5,000 years and have never been seen by humankind, and eventually the mic is like swallowed by a Cthulhu. That's like what a savage and morally bankrupt burn that was. It was so wrong, and also like I was laughing at it. Incredible stuff from Stewie Hosseini, our burn of the week, and really the burn of the series.
Maybe burn of the series. So Stewie, burn of the week.
Unbelievable.
For line of the week,
Oh man.
I'm gonna go with Tom.
That's it.
Tom can make anything seem super wholesome. It is the
Yeah.
genius of this character that he is often drinking his own semen, backstabbing different members of the Roy family, making moves within vaguely right-wing news media.
Oh, man.
But he always makes it sound like he's like made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and is inviting you to come over and hang out. So my favorite line was, "You don't hear much about syphilis these days. Very much the MySpace of STDs." So sincere to Logan Roy about that. What was your line of the week?
I just picture like that iconic picture of MySpace Tom like sitting at his desk, only he's got syphilis.
We had a lot of
blind
cool
with
references on this episode. Cthulhu's, MySpace Tom with syphilis.
Briefly want to bring up Tom during his talk going, what is the news? It's new. New news. Unbelievable shit from Tom. I'm gonna go.
I love he had the mic, the face mic. Those are such a bad beat, man.
The TED Talk.
Nobody
face
has
mic.
ever crushed it wearing that mic.
No one ever in the history
You know
of
who
anything.
didn't use that mic? John F. Kennedy.
You know who else? Jesus on the Mount didn't need one of these.
Martin Luther King, no mic.
No mic, no face mic.
So when you're doing a TED Talk and you're
Stop
like,
it.
this is why everything we think about this, it's like, just shut up.
You can't drop one of these. You need a stick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Greg responding to Tom after this. So they're trying to figure out like what's the catch line of Tom's talk gonna be, and it can't be we're listening because they figured out like the set-top cable boxes that ATN produces actually are listening to what people say. So they come up with we hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom says we're listening, we hear you. It's the same problem, isn't it? And Greg, it's maybe less active. It's more. Couldn't help glimpse you changing unless we put a spy cam in your shower. Oh, boy.
That's line of the week. Let's get into Finance 101.
Oh, thank God.
Greg's just like having a dalliance with cocaine, right?
Do you dance? The white lady, you don't dance with her once. That's what I've come to know.
That's true.
When the white lady...
She tends to say it's another one
When
for
the
us.
white lady asks you to dance, you're in for the long haul.
She's like, you like this Haim song?
That's
Let's do it again. Look, there's short term.
And then there's long term.
Well, there's some medium term.
A
right?
little bit of medium term, but like, I play on the extremes.
So you're just threes or layups.
It's suckers in the medium
And
term.
when he says threes, he
right.
means 300. We're talking 300 years.
Three Cs. We
We're
call that
talking
centuries.
millennial planning.
That's right.
What is the Earth going to look like when it is just the crust is left?
I'm thinking of what my children's 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 children are going to need from their investment portfolio.
Right, because they're just going to be ones and zeros in a disused jewel. So they're just going to be floating in space in a jewel cartridge, and that's going to be your family member.
Here's our tip, straight from the number one boys to you: fresh water, buy it.
And e-cigs.
That's right.
Let them eat cake. It's the crazy rich moment of the week. We referenced this in the cold open, but I really, really enjoyed
I'm going with this one too.
The Airbus cultural and leadership walk. Like you had to have your walk in the fucking woods sponsored by Airbus.
Yeah, like what? What are you talking about?
Like, why does Airbus need to sponsor that? It's not even in the air. It's not flying. It's just the guys walking by a creek. It's got to be sponsored by something.
I also love the one guy who's like, yeah, the trees and the stream, like, we've got to preserve all this. So we're thinking, Airbus, what if we bought it and then charged for people to come see it, and then it's the nature is preserved.
You know what fucking rules too? Leadership YouTube. I get into like these like kind of deep dives, like sometimes where like I just watch like 100 Dabo Swinney videos.
I love that
and he's like, it's all about struggle.
That's right.
And then it's like a 9-minute video of him just repeating the word struggle and being like, my struggle to win my assignment, your struggle to beat your man, our struggle as a community to beat Alabama. And it's like, and you just realize like this is nonsense, but people think he's like
they're like, oh my God, hold on a second.
The Buddha of South Carolina. It's pretty good stuff. You should get into leadership YouTube. It's an offshoot of coaching YouTube. So cultural leadership walks. That's our crazy rich moment of the week.
I love it.
Predictions.
I believe that there is some kind of coup coming, whether it's Roman and Jerry together, Roman, Jerry and Shiv, Shiv and Kendall,
Shiv,
Kendall and Frank, Shiv solo.
Shiv, Tom.
I think Logan is beginning, he's got, he's saying stuff that is out of pocket and he's looking physically weak and, he's looking more and more, in Shiv's words, like that dinosaur as the meteor is coming in. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do? I think the time is now to strike.
The wild card that you didn't mention there also is Sandy and Stewie.
Yeah.
The proxy fight's not over. They could still come to take over.
Syphilis is treatable.
Syphilis is it's like what they're doing with drugs right now is amazing.
It's just like you put some like amoxicillin on that and it just fades
the cream
away.
in the clear.
We could have like saved French Impressionism if we had that back then.
We'd still have those beautiful twilight sunsets. I think Sandy and Stewie are coming back.
Yeah, they're
because if they can't buy Pierce,
that's right.
Unless that guy who had loafers made out of human rights activists,
right? Young MBS, whoever that guy was,
who was just like the news, but independent, but positive. Unless that guy comes back with a huge check for those for Waystar, I think they're very vulnerable right now.
Right.
It's just a matter of which, if any, Roy winds up coming over. So we'll have to keep an eye out, but the coup is coming. We will be back next week after the East Coast airing of Succession in all the usual places, YouTube, Twitter, etc. For Jason, I am Chris. This has been Number One Boys, 300 years.
That's right.